Hey man, let me tell you something, man. I meant to tell you this. This is gonna be the last video I'm actually making, and I meant to tell you, you see in physics why the Mings were dying the way they were dying before is because you had celestial empresses and other people that was of high magic that was coming into the physical realm and joining in on the stupidity ahead of time. Because if you turn on light and then you turn it on to see further in the hallway, if it's dark, it's to see further. It's just like to know exactly where you're positioned at and just to see further or what's in back of you. Now, if a person's a star being or of a high intellectual enlightenment of the quality of the reason, even of regard, and then they turn off their lights, that's a person that doesn't care about the natural habitation to where they at. Anything can happen. Now, a person that's regarding something that cares about certain situations, depending on the type of situation, because a person could be depending on your light. But I'm gonna just show you how real this is. A person of higher consciousness knows what it is to regard a situation. Now, I'm gonna show you just like this. If the Mings were dying in a paradigm of time, what killed them? Was it a jealous emotion of some a feminine higher being, or was it individuals that was a higher being that indulged in low demoralizing activity of the physical reality with other individuals, causing the family's protection? It's just like, imagine if I called one of the celestial empresses and then she starts having sex with other men, because if she does that, she's gonna get murdered and killed because she's gonna lose her magic anyway. But imagine if she was having sex with other men, what would cause the death of the family ahead of time? It's just like I told you about the light. What would cause the death of the family? And if the Mings were dying, that means their point of their regard didn't care about regarding them, and they were dying a certain type of way. Now, I'm a man that made the reason of regard and also has to be regarded. This is why a person says, I made the help, but I never knew the help was gonna be the extra take. So once I see something like that, there's no more I care about myself, because I'm the purity of everything that made everything. But if you could influence a stink a intake of a earth to become stink and do stink things and emotions, that means probably a person doesn't care about their existence, or probably somebody did too much to their doombox magic. So once somebody does something like that, if you wanted to play Jack in a box a certain type of way with other individuals in your magic, then you cause what happened to yourself. It's just like when I went to Vietnam before and what individuals did in Vietnam, and I couldn't even go home with them because I see how they dishonored me, my dignity, and their type of mentality when it came to the quality of social love, when it came to regard and economic bargaining or trading at a time. And I said, yo, you know something? I wouldn't even trade a certain type of situation, because a person says, if I have an emergency, I have to be able to go on a vacation or be able to go travel to another social economic system. But if you start demoralizing the reasons why I enter your habitation, for I can have a form of variety or safety or comfort to manifest a higher empress at a time, and then you would jeopardize that, then means you were never really part of the situation. So I don't know if it was a burger meat. I don't know if it was somebody that manipulated somebody to drink some fucking poison, or somebody ate some food from a social economic setting that wasn't their social economics, that that they were feeling famished, and then next the situation wasn't agreeing with their system, making them feel like they should literally being poisoned, or or it demoralize their habitation because another person is just like I told you with consecration with elements. A person could be a highlight being and they step on a form of consecration. You don't want to enlighten other people's habitation a certain type of way because of their stupidity, because they might not be on the level for certain education. It's just like what I was telling you. You might have an elder dealing with somebody that is not supposed to be dealing with somebody at another level because they're not the elder to deal with that person, and then they're doing it and they don't care what's happening, and it's causing certain reactions in physics, in the physical reality. So, if things like that start happening, good for you, because of I care about regard, I care about life. But once you see people wanting to start acting and speaking like they're porno based, like there's other things going on in life and they just don't care because they experience, it's just like taking somebody from the jungle that lived in the jungle life all day, and then you bring them around a habitation that look like this, that has cars and other type of things. They don't know the reason of the equality at the level of physics of one's intellect and what it's really about, because they already knew how to survive if a case of emergency. It's just like having a form of quality. If a person knows how to survive in a case of emergency, they don't have to depend on the natural stupidity of other quality of the social economics because the type of entrapment that other people use. Now, if a person knows how to survive without it, it's even better because another person knows how to, be adjusted to it. Now I'm a man that made the equality for myself, and you already see people the type of mentality when it comes to my equality. So a person, if you indulge in that survival, and then came up with an excuse like so and so this that, and the other, I don't have nothing else to say about that because I'm not a person of stupidity. I didn't do certain things for other people to do funny things. When I call people, it was for other things. So, indulging in certain situations a certain type of way, I'm a person that cared about myself. I knew why to care about myself. In physics, if the Mings ever had a situation, it's probably because also the endangerment I'm always around because I'm the beginning point of all physical reality. So them not being able to regard me the way they were supposed to regard me caused the even more endangerment because of stupidity of other people and other people learning certain things that they're not supposed to learn. And then my caretakers being irresponsible. And then also they're supposed to be responsible, but my caretakers being irresponsible, and then also because of other people that want powers that's just learning things that they're not supposed to learn, that's trying to demoralize an individual because it's their stupidity, because at another time they really want to be looked upon because it's like if a person's taking away their conscience in their head, they don't give a fuck about the people that's living around them at the end of the day, really. It's just gonna take time for you to realize that. And if that's the mentality people want to live with, and if that's how they want it to be, that means they shouldn't even been around in the first place. So what caused it? Because if I'm doing something, I don't need a certain type of person having a certain mentality around me. But everything happens for a reason. And if the Mings died, probably it was your secondary in command, your celestial empress that just didn't care about habitation or her privacy, ahead of time. Depending on, it's just like telling somebody, yo, go clean the house before we get guests. And then when the person go looks, the house is a certain type of mess, a certain type of way. If I tell a person I could have my house a mess because my guests got to know how to fucking clean. So another person, I tell them, yo, go clean the house, and then the guest, and I'm not even home, and I'll give a phone call, and then the guest goes somewhere else, and then ends up in some stupid shit because the other people didn't care about themselves, and then it caused the natural habitation. There's no excuse because another person's on a higher level, so they should have knew how to handle this situation. But if you have a person want to indulge in so and so, it's just like me making a celestial empress, and then she says, prove to you that I could be better than you. You gonna be better than me? I'm the one that made you, and you wanna be better than me? Or if you wanted another boyfriend, I didn't know that you were about to start your own rebellion for your other boyfriend and stuff. I didn't know that when you were gonna start our separation in our physics to our harmony and stuff a certain type of way. I was never in competition with myself a certain type of way. I just loved myself and knew what order was. Difference in reality, though, right? Well, oh well. If your empress killed you a certain type of way and indulged in your natural mentality, either way, y'all could just look at each other. Well, I guess everything happens for a reason if people know the reasons of historical events, right? In bed, another person was in bed with each other because at a point in time, I remember Liv put them there a certain type of way, and then I did everything to combat it, and then certain other people knew about it, but when certain things, you think it doesn't matter. Energy's energy. You think about that, right? Me, I'm gonna tell you, you need to call the asPca out here, because if you have dogs that take showers in a natural cycle of the quality, you don't want the diseases from outside definitely seeping in, because it's already been on their habitation of their pores, on their matter. You don't want it to seep in to your reservoir system a certain type of way that causes even more deterioration. And that'll be for sure even in your place of equality of your privacy, so you'll be able to filter out the system a certain type of way. You don't want them to make sure, you don't want your dogs demoralizing and make sure they're carrying this disease in your house. That's even more of a danger to a person's consciousness, even at a high point of intellect and physics on altitude, longitude, and latitude. So if you have your diseases that runs outside naked and wild with their wild emotions, and then the next you know, they bring that type of mentality in the house, there's no separating a situation that could save your life on the level of physics for your own habitation. So once you have something like that, or people doing something spiteful like that, then you'll be in a real danger. So be careful of your wild dogs out there, because you really do need to call the ASPCA because of what I've really been seeing. Be careful of your wild dogs out there carrying the disease, or people doing certain metaphysical magic of zodiacs carrying the disease definitely in somebody's house. A person says, how could you say that? I said, even with the scorpions back in the days in Egypt, I used to tell them they would have to shower outside before they entered the house. Your dogs would have had to do the same thing, but your dog's habitation should have never been of the place of higher consciousness, because a person needs to reflect to have a distance to say you need to go handle that situation before it gets out of hand. This is why even in the ice galaxy, you had certain planets that was ahead of other planets, and they were positioned different from other planets at times. But I don't have to explain this to you, but I'm gonna just tell you just like this, man. Be very careful of your inequality, because another person doesn't care about another person's habitation in a way, and I'm not comfortable with demoralizing people that just want to make sure a person is a certain type of way because they're way that they're doing. It's just like yesterday, I went to this place, and then they had this guy was ordering food, and then when I entered, I thought they brought me in there to poison me, or like somebody must have knew I was coming there, because they had raid, a smell of raid, of root spray, and all types of shit. And I was wondering, like, yo, did somebody try to poison my air quality a certain type of way? It's bad enough that I was having a good time, but because I wanted to go somewhere, it felt like somebody had to poison my air quality. Something must, at a point of physics, if a person wants me to indulge in their point of physics of what's going on in their physical reality, then they shouldn't even be around me then. Because I'm trying to avoid stupidity, because I'm the beginning of existence. If I'm weak, another person ain't gonna be able to make it because they're not me. And if that's the way that they feel, then get the fuck from away from me. But anyway.